Did you know Dump City will stop doing these stupid intros once I reach level 100 in solo self-found? Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome to another episode of Dump City. We're 1% away from the next level. See? Have a look at my character screen while I throw away this bag here. Ugh, that smelled bad. This has been grueling. I died 3 times at level 99, and the last time almost broke me. This has been a marathon. But before I do my reaction to reaching this goal, let's talk about what's in the season finale. First, I'll do a summary of Beastcrafting. I'll do a final character build review. I'm going to do a bit called The Voice in Your Head. I will do my reaction to finally reaching level 100. After that, I'm going to do a game review. Again, I'm an independent games journalist here. I have they don't pay me nothing. I just play games I think are fun, and I give you my opinion on them and tell you what's good or bad. And finally, I will fight the Black Star. But before we do this, let's go over the final item of the week. It's this axe here. Finally got an 800 damage Val axe. See the stats on that? The runner-up this week is this body armor. I was having all kinds of physical mitigation problems, so I decided, hey, I'm going to re-roll this thing until I get some nice stats on it, till I can get 90% physical damage reduction. And then I spent 1,500 orbs of fusing. So that's the runner-up item of the week. Very nice armor and a very nice axe. Before we go into Beastcrafting here, let's go over our favorite topic here. This may not be as appropriate as it was earlier in the season because, after all, you're probably less of a noob now. Maybe you just jumped in though, right? What if this is like, oh, this is the only episode I watched and I didn't watch the other 19 that you painstakingly recorded, and you want some tips, and you're a noob, right? So if that's the case, it's time for more tips for noobs. The first tip, while reaching level 95 requires brains, reaching level 100 requires stupidity. I think reaching level 95 can be done while playing on the weekends only. You could live a normal life with a job and do it in one season. But to gain those last 5 levels will take more time than the first 95 levels combined. This is something I did not know before I thought I would try this. It requires a certain amount of insanity to do. I don't recommend it unless you are a professional game streamer like Brento here. Yeah, right. Next tip, don't feel like you need to understand every game mechanic there is. Things like Delve, Ritual, Torment, Rogues, and Ultimatum were not even discussed in the series. However, if you hear a term used by a content creator or find a strange scarab, just ask Google what it is. The PoE wiki is also handy to link terms with images and help you identify them in the game. Next, don't forget to use Scrolls of Wisdom before activating strong boxes. The final levels are all about avoiding death, so knowing if that strong box is going to detonate corpses around it makes it worthwhile. Speaking of endgame leveling, did you know magic maps with good modifiers can offer similar XP to rare ones, but with far less risk? Rerolling a magic map to have extra magic or rare monsters can yield similar amounts of XP, and you'll probably die less. Also, maps that state that are inhabited by certain types of monsters, like skeletons or whatever, add to the monster count as well. Those are nicely rolled maps. Later in the show, I'm going to create my final map, and I'll show you what I mean. And the final tip for noobs in the gaming season is don't play every season. Grinding Gear Games has armies of programmers who can crank out content faster than your brain can learn it. I never played back-to-back seasons. This keeps the game fun and addictive to me when I decide to return to it later. Anyways, that's more tips for noobs. Now let's get on to Beastcrafting. At the start of the season, I visited the menagerie early and looked at the recipes and thought, what's the point of this? None of these starter recipes were that great, to be honest. However, the key to this mechanic is to specialize in it in your Atlas tree and to do so fairly early in the season. This then gives you enough time to hunt them all, giving you some amazing abilities. It's all about the numbers with Beastcrafting. The more beasts you take down, the more likely you are to find the rarest ones. For example, the Black Morrigan can let you craft 6 linked items without needing 1,500 orbs of fusing. The Bestiary Scarab of Shadow Crow can guarantee it will spawn if you are lucky enough to find one of these. However, they say the Hunt for Ferrule Atlas skill, shown here, significantly increases the chances of a spawn too. Other popular beastcrafting recipes let you reroll synthesis implicits or let you craft aspect skills onto your items. For a complete list of all the recipes and how to find them, follow the link in the description. Anyways, that's as much as we're going to cover for beastcrafting in this episode here. I just wanted to generally make you aware that when you go to the blood altar here and you're like, these are useless recipes, that's not the point of the mechanic. But you really got to specialize it in your tree to benefit from it. If you just go for the ones that normally spawn and you don't focus on hunting the Black Morrigan, for example, you're not going to likely find them. And do that early in the season. It's all about numbers. Get as many beasts as you can, and later on it will pay off. Anyways, now that we're done with our beast crafting overview, let's review Elon's final build. Even if you aren't playing a Marauder, this chapter will still give you ideas of layers to incorporate into your very own build. So to begin with, let's have a look at the flasks. If you saw the episode on flask building, I quickly threw together a flask, but I've had enough hours to play now. And I've come to realize that almost all the top builds want corrupted blood immunity on their flasks. So watch the series, you'll know how to make these. You'll know how to, like, this one's not even corrupted. I could go for a 30% quality on it if I threw a Val on it, but I'm happy with the way it is. But there's another reason that this one's really good above what I previously had, is this has gain 3 charges when you're hit by an enemy. Now, if I hover over this, that's not a tier 1 corrupted blood immunity, okay? But I'm happy with any amount of it. It's not like I'm just going to stand in corrupted blood for 10 seconds anyways, right? It's usually a one and done when it activates, but getting it to gain charges like this is a really good life flask. If you have lots of orbs to reroll your magic items, I would strongly suggest trying to get something like this. Like, if you only have one target, this is the way to keep your flasks charged. I noticed a lot of the top players didn't do this, but I guess they're in a rush and they don't have time. If you're, like, let's say you're into Standard League, which I've now graduated to with this character, and you're just finishing off your character, take the time and try to get this roll on as many flasks as you can. And specifically, corrupted blood immunity is very nice. I will be able to almost use this indefinitely in most boss fights. Another flask here I've decided was key for my build. Because I have a lot of armor, I don't have much evasion. But I'll watch this, just to give you an idea. See my defenses here? Okay, right now, I can have 14% chance to evade. 90% damage reduction with the amount of armor I have. You could do that with a combination of armor and physical damage reduction statistics if you don't have as much armor on your character. And you might want to use a granite flask here if you don't have any armor. But let's say you are an armor class and you have lots of armor. Why not go with evasion, right? So 14% chance to dodge naturally. But if I go like this, 45%. Physical damaging things hardly touch Elon here. They're just... He dodges almost half of them, and this, because it's got 20 quality and it reaches, activates whenever it reaches full, this is almost always active. So there's only half a chance you're going to hit him, and then when you hit him, he's only taking 10% of the physical damage. So that's one of the ones I would put together. If you don't have the armor, you're probably going to have to go with a granite flask instead. It only has a tier 3 reduced charges per use, but the amount of extra evasion that comes with it too, that's the other thing. This wasn't just 1500 evasion added. It then applies increased evasion rating while active, which is the combo you want with an evasion flask. Likewise, if you had a granite flask, you'd want increased armor during effect. Okay, that's the combo you're looking for. So I didn't get a tier 1 roll for the efficiency aspect of it, but I got a tier 1 roll of the effect of itself. So this is a very nice combo. My Topaz Flask has that nice benefit of 3 charges when you're hit, meaning that I can be one-on-one versus a boss, and I can gain charges while it's hitting me, and I don't have to kill monsters to have this activated. Okay, and this also reduces curses on you during effect. Apparently, curses are among the top 3 thing you want to reduce. Reducing curses is very nice because let's say you're on a map that always applies a curse. Well, the curse is having less effect on you with this one. So that's a nice thing to combo. So you want to have your flasks mixed with a bunch of mitigating abilities. Ignite is also a bad one. And I put this with my ruby flask here because this too increases my maximum resist. And it minimizes the damage I take from being ignited. You'll notice too, I have a lot of life regeneration. Okay. This could be even higher, but 600 life regen, if you get an energy shield build, if you regenerate, say, all your life in under 10 seconds, if I have some ignites on me, I don't even notice it because it's just regenerating out of it. But I can't be constantly getting ignited, for example. Another nice one here is to have a tier 1 duration modifier and reduced effective shock. Shock is something you should generally avoid. When you're shocked, you take more damage. So at first, shock might seem safe. You're like, oh, I can beat up this monster and I'm getting shocked a little bit. But when you see like electricity going all over the place, in general, you should probably consider running, okay? But also reducing the effect of shock. Of the 3 things you probably should have on your flask is something that reduces shock or removes shock, reduces or removes ignite, and reduces or removes curses. Those are the big 3. You'll notice I don't have any poison removal. And Corrupted Blood, obviously in the flask slot. Corrupted Blood should always be in the light, and almost every top build has it there. So I figure, I'm not going to claim I'm some sort of god that figured this out. I'm studying what the other good players do, and I'm patching it together. This is common in almost all the top players. Okay, so there you go. That's one of the first elements of building a good character is spend an evening if you have to, which I did, to make flasks like this. You'll notice they're all 20 quality as well. Next, let's have a look at the guard setup here. I'll assume you've incorporated cast 1 damage taken as in your build, but did you know that for most armor builds, keeping it level 1 is probably best? Here it shows level 2, but that's because I have a character-wide buff that gives me +1 skill point. Watch the episode on King's March where I show you how to get rune graphs and how to add a skill point to all your non-exceptional items. Okay, quick, I guess this is a review series, so we can go back over that. Right over here, right? That was a few episodes ago. Again, I'll assume you watched the series religiously and have this in the background, and I don't have to explain that again. Otherwise, this is a level 1 skill, okay? And that means it requires the least amount of damage. In this case, because it's level 2, yeah, if it's level 1, it's even less, but I can't make it -1, so what am I supposed to do? But taking the least amount of damage means it triggers the most actively, okay? Now, if you're a non-armor class, maybe this isn't, you might want to go with a higher level, but I'm saying if you're an armor class, the only thing leveling this up more does is it lets you have a higher degree of molten shell or steel skin or whatever. But for an armor class, the main thing is that I take 10% of my armor, which is already over 30,000, right? It's 34,396. So I'm not like whoop-de-doo if I level this up to level 20. It goes to 36,000 or something. But it activates way less often if this isn't level 1. I did a bit of an analysis of this. So long as you have a good amount of armor, this is your target amount. You want this as low as possible, level 1. You want to trigger as much as possible. If you don't have a lot of armor, then leveling this up and gaining a higher buff, like a higher version of Molten Shell, is better. You'll notice too, this Molten Shell lasts 3 seconds, okay? So almost every build should have this, especially armor classes. It's really a no-brainer if you're an armor class. Okay, you'll notice something here too though. When cast 1 damage taken, it says it doesn't work with Val skills. So you're probably looking at this and going, that's a Val Molten Shell. What are you doing? That's not possible. And as far as I was concerned, until I went in depth in my games journalism this year, I thought I couldn't do this. But then I noticed some people were putting Val Molten Shells with cast 1 damage taken. So it turns out that when you use cast 1 damage taken, it will activate Molten Shell, but you can still use the Val Molten Shell manually. So I have it here on my skill bar here. So whenever it activates, I kill a bunch of monsters and I'm constantly using this. This is part of my build. And because it's a bit of a, I find the keys in the R and the T position slightly less convenient because the other 3 keys I've pretty much always got my fingers over. So I have 2 of them in case I fat finger it. So by doing it this way with a Val Molten Shell, you can essentially have the best of both worlds. This behaves exactly like a regular Molten Shell, except every time I get enough souls collected, I can use the Val variant of it. So the trick with this is I basically get to prime myself before I go into battle. If I'm going to run into a pack of monsters or about to hit the boss, I try to gather this up, have them ready, and then before I take the first hit, I have the Val Molten Shell, which lasts, you'll notice here it lasts 10 seconds. So I basically have, after activating it, if I engage the boss within 10 seconds, I can absorb a lot of damage. You'll notice too that this can absorb up to 10,000, whereas regular Molten Shell can't absorb that much. The regular version only absorbs up to 5,000. Yeah, put a Val Molten Shell in with a cast 1 damage taken. If you don't have much armor, consider using other guard skills like Seal Skin or Immortal Call. They're both pretty good too. Arcane Cloak, I think, is a good option to use when cast 1 damage taken, but definitely put some thought into this because this actually is one of the last layers of defense and it'll significantly reduce the amount of damage you take in battle. But that's not the only layer of defense. I have these 3 gems in my hat. Defiance Banner, see what it does? I get to basically put a banner down, and it's like a totem sort of, but if I stand in it, I get a bunch of spell suppression. If I get 50 charges of it as I kill monsters, I'll do a little bit of play later, you'll see how this works. I basically can get 40% spell suppression, which is a big deal. That's half the spell damage taking on top of my already, with all my flasks active, and I have skill points, even without my flasks active, I have over 80% resistances. When they're active, it's close to 90. And then with a Defiance Banner, I'm taking half of 90. So I'm taking almost no damage. Another one that's very nice, and I didn't see this in any of the top builds. This is a Brento original. And I've liked this the whole time, is Val Grace here. And you only need this to be level 1. I accidentally put a skill point in it before realizing, it doesn't make any difference. If you're soul self-found, all it does is increase the radius of it. But it gives basically a 15% chance to evade, okay? So if I combine this with my 45%, which is pretty much always active with my flask, I'm going up to about 60% evasion chance. And a pack of monsters hitting you, that's less damage taken. And again, that's the thing that's nice about this. I can prime this just like Val Molten Shell, so I take less damage as a result. Another one I have tied in my hat here is Seismic Cry. Now, this is kind of for the Marauder class, but the nice thing about this is it adds extra armor. If you're short on armor, this is another way to add a layer of defense is with the Warcry. I have a series of auto exertion spells here, which automatically call all my Warcries. Your class probably won't do this, but that's not to say you shouldn't use Warcries at all. These 2 Warcries are both manual here. So if you're low on armor, you'll notice 2 Warcries have 2 aspects to it. Again, these are a little confusing. It took me a while to actually understand this. Okay, so when you do a Warcry, it exerts the next attack. So basically, I'm a slam build. So if you look at the bottom part of that, it says exerted attacks have 50% more area of effect. So if I do this, see that? I have 12 exerted attacks. Normally you only get 6, but I'm a Marauder, which doubles it. So I get 12. I'm not constantly spawning this, but it would be wise if I did. One of the drawbacks of auto exertion is the buff effect on some of these Warcries don't happen because of it. If you read auto exertion, it says supported Warcries do not grant buffs or charges to you or allies. So you don't get the buff effect. I don't want Seismic Cry to be on my auto exertion chain here. I won't go over in this too much detail. This is very Marauder specific. If you want me to make a bonus episode on all the details of the Marauder, then sure, okay. But I'm just trying to share with you some things I think every class could benefit from. If you have Difficulty is getting a lot of armor. This can boost the armor. I'm at the armor cap without this, but there are other benefits to having even more armor. So I like to have more armor. Same with Infernal Cry. That's another one that I want the buff effect. And you'll notice too, because it's attached to more duration as a support gem, you'll see it's activated there. See that? See it's got a D there? It makes all these things last longer. 9 seconds of 15% chance to evade. That's a very nice ability. I could probably kill most bosses in 9 seconds. So that's why this combo is very nice, especially these two. Every build should combo Grace with Defiance Banner, in my opinion. Basically, I can stand for 16 seconds with spell suppression. I can stand for 9 seconds with increased evasion. Also notice the combo of suppressed spell damage dealt to you is unlucky. So this is the very nice combo. Okay, I didn't see anyone else doing this at the top of the ladder, but you could do this in almost any build. I'll assume you've reached all the resistant caps, including Chaos. But even with these max resistances, you still want a good amount of regen. Again, I showed you earlier, I have almost 600 life per second. See, I'm basically regaining all my life in under 10 seconds, just standing in place. Okay? Therefore, so long as the damage is mitigated enough, it basically appears as if I am never taking damage. Keep in mind too, I have very little life leech, as this requires hitting monsters to keep me alive. What if I'm running through a gauntlet and there's no monsters to hit? For this reason, I recommend heavy life or energy shield regeneration over life leeching. Also keep in mind, life leech doesn't happen immediately and there are caps to it. From life leech, I can regen 1250 life per second. Let's say I swap one of my jewels here. Let's say I put this one in here. Okay, just for now. Okay, the one I just added adds a little bit more damage leech to his life. Let's see how much more I leech here. It's only 1260. So just keep that in mind when you're leeching. If you're looking for high leech, I know if you've come from the Diablo world, it's like the more leech, the better. But there's a leech cap in this game. So for that reason, just a little bit of leech is all you need. I think the life leech I have is under 1%, and it comes just from a tattoo and something else. I think my life leech is basically just this tattoo over here. So for that reason, regen is king. Okay, you don't need much of it. There's a cap on how much you can leech, and there's also just the aspect of what if there's no monster to leech from, right? So regen, I instead, even though it doesn't model very well in the build, path of building, I like this skill point, okay? If you have a lot of life, you can go by percent life. If you don't have a lot of life, there's here, 50 life per second. Just get a bunch of these. You want to have, and if you're an energy shield build, energy shield's what you're going to look for. Regen energy shield as fast as you can, in addition to mitigation. Leech is, it's unfortunate for those that come from other games that you're going to be like, oh, Leech is king. No, don't focus too much on Leech. That regen is king in Path of Exile. Next, in the final build review for Elon here, I always make sure my rings and amulets have reduced mana costs in the prefixes. See that? -7 to mana cost, -7 to mana cost, -7 to mana cost. So when you're putting together your jewelry, you kind of have to be, there's a lot of good prefixes, so you're always going to have 2 good prefixes, but getting 3 good suffixes is the challenge. In a perfect world, you'd get 3 high rolled resistances on all 3 of these, because that's kind of the best thing. Or a life regen would be something to look for. An attribute like intelligence or dexterity or strength or something would be good. If you're an int class, you might look for strength. If you're strength class, you might look for int, just so you can equip certain gems and items. But yeah, always keep in mind that if you find a jewelry with 3 good prefixes, it's not as good as just 2, because having this -7 makes, in some cases, I have a very expensive attack, but it only costs me 11 mana. Normally the attack I use is so expensive you couldn't use it, but it's fairly cheap. If you have -7 mana on all your jewelry, you're basically going to cast for free. One way you can know if your mana is good is this thing, a test here. Like in any area, just hold shift and left click. And if you can just continually attack forever, you're regenerating mana enough. Indeed, for many noobs, this could be a reason your character is having difficulty advances. Maybe you're having mana issues. You'll notice that I've only shown cost-effective means of adding defensive layers and nothing offensive yet. Why? Because if you aren't dying, this gives you more uptime to DPS. So this permits you to do more actual damage in-game than the calculator indicates. This is the principle of all RPG games, in fact. The less you move, the more damage you do. However, that's not to say you shouldn't be ignoring DPS entirely. Let's have a look at the weapon of choice. One thing that I learned this season is having faster attacks or casting is worth it, even if it means less DPS according to your calculator. Why? Because many skills scale based on your weapon's speed and not just its damage. See here, Leap Slam? You'll see here with Leap Slam, it takes 0.68 seconds of attack time. If I have a faster weapon, my Leap Slam is faster, therefore I can activate it faster. So when looking for a weapon, a lot of skills are based on the weapon's speed, not just its damage. This, therefore, lets me escape trouble more reliably. It makes a big difference, and one of the reasons I made it to level 100, or at least I'm about to. I was shocked, however, to see a lot of top builds focusing on damage, using slower weapons than maybe they should be using. I suspect maybe they die a little bit more because they have too slow of a weapon. So as long as you have the mana regen for it, and you have skills that rely on weapon speed, like Leap Slam, you'll want to choose a faster weapon over a harder hitting weapon for survivability. Also, things that proc on hits such as stunning and freezing happen more often with a faster weapon. But the number one reason speed wins is simply because getting the first attack on a monster can be a lifesaver. You'll simply die way less if you always hit the monster first. I know I did an episode on the Recombinator and I was explaining some things that, called the perfect weapon. It's got a lot of thumbs down. I made some mistakes in it. Turns out you cannot combine meta mods from two essences. You can't use prefixes, can't be changed in combination with. So you got to use a recombinator. It's the only way to have two different essences. Same with fossil crafting too. There's certain things you can't use meta mods to improve the odds for. So in terms of using the recombinator, I've actually figured out finally the trick is to look for items that have at least 50% of good mods on them, and then recombinate them. That's all you're doing. Okay, so you collect weapons like this. Ignore these things here. Like this here has 3 good rolls on it, right? This could recombine. This is also 6 linked. So I would want to use that. So yeah, basically when you're using the recombinator, you can do essence crafting on 2 different items. Hope you get over 50% and just throw them together. And I know earlier I might have suggested that gold isn't that valuable. No, it's very valuable. And you need a lot of dust too to use this recombinator. So that's kind of how you craft your own weapons. Now, you can use the gold to trade as well, but that's sort of the trick. That's how I made maybe about half my items. Now, some of them didn't quite recombinate perfectly. Like, I think this axe here, for example, I had to throw an exalted orb, but I knew the only thing missing was an attribute modifier. So I'm like, I could get dexterity, strength, or I don't think I could get int on it, but I knew I would get something like dexterity. And, that's kind of the other thing I did. To build all these items here, I'll just hover over them real quick here while I'm talking, just so you can briefly see the stats. This might not be applicable to your class. I know, too, I mentioned I didn't have any poison things on my flasks. I should have also maybe pointed out, too, that I have it on these boots here that avoid getting poisoned. There's also pantheons you can use to go with it. So yeah, we looked at this earlier here. We looked at the body armor. We've looked at this. Yeah, I've actually kind of shown everything already here. This is the final version of Elon's gear. Okay, not a bad amulet. Everything here could be improved. Again, this is solo self-found, and there's, everything's okay. I kind of like a lot of things. This, maybe I could use a better helmet here. Honestly, I'm so far over physical damage reduction, I don't need 1300 armor. I could probably use one that has a bit of dexterity on it and still be at the armor cap and get some spell suppression. The character can still get better. So that's it for Elon's build review here. A couple more things of note. The end of the passive skill tree often has game-changing skills that you should consider designing around. In this case, for me, it was this one here, Resolute Technique. I didn't have to care about crit anymore, and I didn't have to worry about accuracy. And depending where you are on the tree, you might even want to get somehow reach this skill point. It's a really good one. Look for game-breaking passive skills in your tree if you want to make a really good character. Again, go to PoE Ninja or something and look up the heat map for the most popular skills. For one skill point, it's a massive DPS game, basically. And again, use Path of Building to improve your build, and you'll be much better off. So yeah, Resolute Technique is a really good skill. I would highly recommend it if you're on this part of the skill tree. Again, you might have some other skills on your skill, like near your character's start point, that are just as beneficial. This is my key point for DPS. Like, if you want to see a specific list of items I have in my build and everything, there's a link in the description below. You'll also notice that items I showed you earlier have life on almost every single item. If you're specializing in energy shield, the same principle applies. The item's value is heavily dependent on this stat. This is why I have over 6,000 hit points. The underlying objective of the game when building a good character is to get as much hit points as possible. Anyways, that's the final build review. If I play this character a bit more in the standard league, some of the items may change. Hopefully this gives you an idea how to gain a few more levels with your character. Okay, it's time for a word from our sponsor, Dump City, of course. This is a topic I've had on my list since the start of the season, but the voice in my head told me not to do it. Why? Well, because the voice in my head said it might be just too crazy to do early on and could adversely affect my viewership. But since this is the final episode and you have to see the last part of the show anyways, I thought this would be the opportunity to do it. So you know the voice in your head that says you shouldn't do something? I say ignore it. That's just defeatist. If I listened to the naysaying voice in my head, this channel wouldn't exist. As they say, just do it. That doesn't even make sense. No matter what it is, no exceptions, just do it. Maybe don't do something illegal. Is the idea insane? Like leveling to 100 in Path of Exile? Do it anyways. No exceptions. Could you end up in jail by listening to it? Do it anyways, if that is what you desire to do. Just don't get caught. Are you a billionaire and it involves giving $1 million to Brento for producing such an awesome gaming series? Yes, absolutely do it. Also, listen to the voice in your head, no matter your background and no matter what those ideas are. I won't judge. The voice in your head is usually right. That contradicts what I said earlier. In fact, I will think you are a coward if you don't do it. Maybe it involves crapping on your boss's desk so you can become a full-time entertainer like I did. Great idea. Just do it. Listen to the voice in your head, no matter what. I don't know, that was... Alright, I think it's the moment of truth here. Oh, okay, gotta make sure my auras are up. I have a note to check auras. Remember when I almost died to the first boss at level 1? Let's make a map here. Here we go. We're gonna create a map. This is how you create a map. This is the type of maps I do at this level. The final stage. Do not play this. Reflect damage. This would instantly kill me and end my character. You look for nice, good rolls. Use regular magic maps. They're not as fast, but they're nice and reliable. All you gotta do is play for 2 weeks consecutively, and you can gain 1 more level. Makes perfect sense. Okay, I don't like that one. Okay, this will be the map. We found it. Let's do the beach map. I've been doing the beach map all season. We'll throw this in here. So let's do Delirium. We'll do some Beyond. And we'll do some Abyss. This is an interesting combo. I'll describe each one as we do them. This is, again, I'm stacking a magic map. Okay? This is how you get to level 100. Took a while to figure this out. And even if you know it, it still takes forever to do. Okay. And I gotta just hope I don't die here, because if I die, I'm just gonna... I don't know. I'm gonna end the stream immediately. Alright, here goes. We're gonna reach level 100. Final map that I will ever play, except for a boss fight afterwards. Oh. Yeah, you got to be patient. Check your auras. Again, I've been a lot more meticulous. It's not about how good you are at this level, it's about how bad you aren't. Maybe it's a similar principle on YouTube. All right, here we go. Hopefully nothing kills me instantly. I'm going to go slow. Again, if this is the first episode you happen to watch, this is actually the last episode in the series. But I will go over some things I might have covered before. Okay, so this is that's a layer of delirium. That's delirium. Okay, if you wondered what's delirium, that's it there. Okay, but what I like to do is kill a few monsters first, so I have a little safe zone. Okay. And because when the delirium spawns, it's going to add a few more monsters, and I don't want it to be overly concentrated. It's about having a nice steady amount of monsters to kill. I'm also going to do this Legion. Okay, what does Legion look like? This is Legion here. Okay, and whenever I see too many monsters, I run. Okay, I never want to see my life go below anything other than 90%, basically. I have a little bit of energy shield. If it disappears, I basically... You'll see what's happening too. That's beyond right there. When I slay monsters close together, it's spawning new monsters on them, so it makes them a little thicker. Okay, you'll see it takes a bit of time for me to just reach 1%. Okay, actually, before we do the Legion here real quick, I want to show you the strongbox technique I was talking about earlier. Okay, the idea here is to never die. And I just see what I do here. Okay, now this is not a good thing. This is a bad thing that just happened. This is why you don't spawn a delirium orb right away. Because what if a unique monster spawns? Okay, I want to get... Okay, come on. Okay, this is really nasty. Okay, I gotta do... Something's wrong with my character. I gotta get out of this real quick here. Oops, I don't want to spawn that. Oh, I spawned it by accident. Okay, I just noticed my skills. Okay, something happened with my skill here. I noticed a problem. Okay, this should not be like this. These are supposed to be here. When I was showing you my character, I screwed something up there. If you ever see something wrong with your character when you're playing the game at this level, exit the map right away. Okay, you don't want to die. Let's say I go like this. Let's say I hit the X. Oh, okay, I misclicked. I didn't mean to go in. I meant to click beside it. But if you accidentally toggle your weapon, for example, right? Get out. Okay, that just spawned a unique boss in I tried to create a safe map, but it spawned, and we created a layer of delirium. I think I'm just going to let this delirium... Actually, I'm just going to try and hide from that boss. Okay, because I don't want a delirium layer with that boss out. This could be dangerous here. Yeah, I'm just trying not to die. We're almost level 100. Okay, see if I can do this here. Let's see. Okay, the boss can't reach me here. This is how you do strong boxes. You get a Scroll of Wisdom. Okay, rogue exiles are bad. And you know what? I don't want to do a layer of delirium with an Ice Nova and a rogue exile. I could probably handle this if this wasn't delirium. But the worst one's Detonate Dead. You definitely don't want Detonate Dead. So let's just try and avoid dying here. Okay. Okay, you'll see that the delirium timer's coming to an end. Okay. And now things got a little easier again. I could probably fight that boss, but see what I do there? I create a pace of stuff. Okay, you know what I might do? I might level up and go back and get that boss, because I think I should be able to level up halfway through this map somewhere. I'd be stupid to fight that boss right now. Oh, and it goes in the wrong... see, this is Abyss. Okay, that's the Abyss mechanic. It went in the wrong direction. Okay, I didn't want it... Oh, I did it. I just reached level 100. I can't believe it. Okay, that was earlier on than I expected. I'll show you the abyss mechanic a bit here. Now we can grab this and I can go, okay, now don't do this here. I don't know where that boss went. Oh, there it is. We can stack the boss. We can stack everything here now. Who cares? Okay, so you'll see there's monsters and there's beyond spawns here. So what's happening is... Oh my god, this thing's tough. Okay, we'll kill this thing. I'll face tank it right on an abyss spawn. Okay, don't do that when you're leveling normally. Now you chase the abyss spawn around. And you see, it's because I have a beyond scarab, when I kill them, it's... See how many monsters come out of this? Again, it's just a ton of XP really fast. I don't even need to do this anymore because I'm leveled up. I actually am probably going to change a lot of my skills to be less tanky. Because you don't want to die. I told you earlier in the episode that I almost quit the game when I died the last time. It really was just, I just sat there and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I got through it. Okay, let's, so that's an abyss. Okay, so you've seen a delirium, an abyss. This is a legion, timeless monolith. Okay, again, if you want to get into this, put skill points into it that make this timer last longer. I like to just, because I don't want to waste too many skill points, I could just in a few seconds unlock quite a few of them. And there you go, some extra monsters. If the delirium orb was up there and that rare monster didn't spawn, I usually skip these Viridian wildwood things too, because they make the monsters pretty tough. And again, it's not about tough monsters, it's just about lots of monsters if you want to reach level 100. All right, and there's a Legion mechanic. So we've basically seen what the three scarabs do: the abyss, the beyond, and the delirium. Okay, if you have a strong build, you could like just rush in. These magic ones I like to gamble a little bit too, so I don't necessarily identify them every time. But if there was a bunch of corpses around it, I probably wouldn't touch it, especially at level 99. Okay, and yeah, this is... Remember level 1 when I almost died? Each one of these monsters would kill that level 1 boss. Like, this is so much stronger, but just see how tough Elon is, right? And that's the secret. I got a good amount of area damage too. That's another thing to consider too, is not... why get more damage if you just hit everything in one shot anyways? What's the point, right? You can't like, I guess for some boss fights, but honestly, fighting bosses when leveling is not, there's another Abyss Scarab, right? Or Abyss. You see what I do there? I'm activating my Vol Molten Shell as I approach a pack, right? This way I don't have to rely on it to trigger to save me. I'm buffed up and I don't take any damage, right? Also, if I stand on this side of the abyss, it kind of redirects it the other way. Sometimes, I think. I don't know exactly the variables that govern it, but there, see, I used all three of those at once there. Sometimes it just wants to go a certain way. Sometimes it'll travel all around the map. But this is definitely one of your best ways to gain XP. And if the Abyss gets, I think I have like skill points. I got quite a few skill points in Abyss in my passive tree to really maximize the monster count and the experience. And then if one of the abyssal depths appears, you can go in there and get even more XP. And that's, yeah, basically what I've been doing. This is what I've done for 2 weeks. This is only released 1 week since the last episode, but it's been more than 2 weeks in real time because I've been playing this game way too much. Now, if you're going to pick a favorite map too, you can kill the boss for a bit of XP. The beach has a very easy one. I'll just do this real quick. It might be worth it given how low risk that is. Some of them, the boss, you just want to skip. It's all about clearing out things. Oh, and Blight's usually worth doing too, but I've already done an episode on Blight, so I don't want to repeat myself, but we do have a Blight encounter. if I was not doing the final episode here and celebrating the end of the last map I'm ever going to do, I would do that Blade Encounter. Because it's also very good XP. Again, whenever you see trouble, you saw how that unique monster spawned? Show fear. Oh, and here's one other one to you that's very good for XP. Let's do a breach real quick. I did a lot of these as well. If you get breach scarabs, absolutely. See, buff up because you know you're going to be hit by a ton of monsters. Look how many monsters there are here. Like, if you do this with Delirium, this could like freeze your video card. It's just, there's so many on screen. And it's, none of these are that terribly tough. And then I'll use my, oh, there we go. We got a tough guy. But you see what I did? I put my Defiance banner up. So I'm standing in there with spell suppression. Okay, I'm going to activate. There we go. Vile Molten Shell. I'll just stand here because there's nothing you can do to me. But again, that's practice too. I've killed that guy probably 100 times. It gives you some of the cool rings. It'll give you these types of rings. Okay, some of them are okay. I've not found one with good rolls, but you know, there's extra fire resistance, right? Maybe have a look at that, see what it rolled. Not the best. I'm probably going to trash that one. All right, so there you go. That's basically, I reached level 100. And now I can review the game, right? I don't know what I'm going to spend this skill point in. I'll think about that after the show. Before I conduct the review of this classic RPG, I want to clarify that I have played Diablo 1, 2, and 3 extensively. Lord of the Rings Online, World of Warcraft, Gloomhaven, and numerous other RPG titles. In short, I have a solid background in the genre, spanning multiple decades. So, is this the game for people with careers? Absolutely. You will have a ton of fun even if you only play a few hours a week. Can someone with a career reach level 100 in their first season? Not a chance in hell. You'd probably have to have at least 2 full weeks of holidays and experience building a few characters for that to even be a possibility. Could a billionaire reach level 100 if they played the game full time? Nope. Billionaires aren't smart enough. No billionaire has the problem-solving capacity to reach level 100, even if people are paid to coach them. Unless they join my Patreon at the billionaire philanthropist level for $5,000 a month, then I can coach them to maybe do it. Will you get bored of this game after a few weeks? That depends on your commitment to excellence and your willingness to get better. Like all games, the more you play, the better you get. However, since this game has been around for so long, there is much more content in it to master compared to most games. You can probably reach level 80 without even learning how to craft. But you'll probably have to commit a lot more think time to reaching level 90 plus. Or just listen to this entire PoE for Noobs playlist in the background while you play, which should answer most of your questions as you go. Also, this game offers more custom character build options than any RPG I've played by far. Basically lets you mix and match as many RPG tropes as you want, no matter how absurd. My first character was a freeze build Templar. Don't be afraid of the skill tree either. In fact, grinding gear games would be wise to consider hiding the parts of the skill tree that are not associated with your starting class by default. Realistically, you only use a portion of the tree, so it ought to be zoomed into that quadrant with other quadrants grayed out initially, in my opinion. Too much information up front. See this here? This is overwhelming. Okay? I think grinding gear games in an update might want to consider graying out anything. Like I start as a marauder here, zoom in here, show all my options, and gray out the rest. And I have a little flag here, or a little checkbox, show all, because I think this probably loses 10%, 20% of your customers when they see this. I know one person who said they tried the game for one day, they looked at this tree and they quit. And that's of the 3 people that I know that played the game. That's 1 in 3 just quit because of this. The other ones went a bit further, but I think that you'd be better off hiding that to start off with. Or maybe it just... part of the quest process is there's a fog of war and you explore more. So this is your initial fog of war. And then as you get further up, it grows. You can start seeing further and then it shows the whole thing. In terms of combat, Path of Exile is fast-paced with plenty of gore. As you just saw, mapping has a lot of action, and I'll show you a boss fight after this review to give you an idea of how that works too. If you want to unwind after a hard day of work, nothing relieves stress more than slaughtering hundreds of zombies with an axe in the fields. That said, to reach the upper echelons of the content, you will need to devote a good amount of think time planning your skill and equipment. Luckily, you can do this with online tools, and if you got a desk job, you can do it at work. Highly recommend it. The gore is your reward for a well-designed character. If you join a trade league, you will need to learn how to shop for the right upgrades. In a solo self-found league, you will need to learn more about crafting and develop a keen sense of items to pick up. You will get a dopamine rush whether you trade, craft, or find the item in the game. This is the part of the game that keeps it addictive. Now, to be fair, the game has some weaknesses too. The biggest weakness, IMO, is the lack of clear explanation of how a lot of these things work in the game. There's a ridiculous amount of content, and without an accompanying channel like this, and plenty of other channels that could get really specific on a topic, it's very hard to learn this game. That's the weakness of it, that you're going to have to sometimes go outside the game if you want to get to the higher levels. Yeah, again, you can reach level 80 not knowing a bloody thing that's going on. In fact, this is the very reason I decided to create these videos. Furthermore, I found the Reddit community to be somewhat cliquey and not terribly supportive. If you ask a question, you'll probably lose karma and/or you'll get a snot-nosed response from some college dork. You'll be lucky to get an honest or useful answer. You're better off asking questions in the comments below or consulting the Reddit for this channel instead. Also, keep in mind, this is a free game to play, but if you want to have enough storage space for all the sweet loots you're going to find, I recommend paying them some money. Realistically, you'll get frustrated with the lack of default bag space by level 80. Also, if you end up playing the game for an entire weekend, don't you think you owe it to the developers? I only spent $20 on the game and was able to have all the space I needed to reach level 100, playing for over 1,500 hours. The value is hard to beat. World of Warcraft, comparatively, is a waste of money. However, if you want to contribute even more to the developers, higher tiered accounts offer features that let you sort your items and give you even more bag space. Plus, you get exclusive cosmetics. The developers will like you a lot more too. Unlike other free-to-play games, giving them more money doesn't give you any competitive advantage. To reach the upper echelons of the game, you simply need to master the game. Okay, it's time to do the final boss fight of the season, the Black Star. Now, you probably noticed I am Caucasian, so fighting a Black Star might seem racist. However, that's the name of the boss associated with the Polaric Invitation upon completing the Searching Exarch's questline. I don't even think she's black, to be honest. Let's go in here. See, her gimmick is that she has a rotating aura of ice and fire that adds a stacking debuff. The longer you stand in the fire side of things, the more fire damage you will take, and the less cold damage you will take. The reverse is true for the cold side. Jumping on the other aura will rapidly reset the debuff, and it is recommended that you do this as often as possible. While there are several abilities this boss does, there are two notable ones you need to be aware of before the fight starts. Astral Avalanche will send comets your way. However, the trick is the pillars on the fire side will shatter during this attack. So during Astral Avalanche, you want to be behind a cold pillar, depending on which side it's coming from. This is probably the trickiest part of the fight. That said, if you get stuck on the fire side, be sure to dodge the large comets, primarily by just running up and down. If you have to get hit, take a hit from a small comet. It is only the large ones that are likely to be fatal. Note, the comets will originate on the opposite side of the boss. So it is recommended that you go to the opposite side when it begins so that you have a chance to pick a safe spot as you run away. Likewise, during the solar storm, the cold pillars will disintegrate in the beam of light. You therefore are safer on the fire side, behind a pillar. In short, just keep running until you find a pillar that doesn't disintegrate and you'll be okay. I'm not going to go over more details than this, as I think simply watching it will teach you more, but for a detailed description of the fight, follow the link in the description, read up about it first. If you have one Polaric invite, you don't want to waste it. Anyways, let's go. Alright, so I'm going to go back and forth here. I'm going to attack as much as I can. Going to get some... See, I'm on the ice for a bit here. Got to go here. Astral Avalanche. Okay, so I'm okay on the ice side here. This should be safe here. See, oh, right there. Oh, it disintegrated. Okay. Okay, what happened was it became a fire side. Okay, now I'm going to be safe on the fire side. See here? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, I have so much DPS, this isn't exactly as much of a challenge as I thought it would be. Okay, Astral Avalanche. Oh no, that's not Astral Avalanche. Okay, there it is. See, I'm safe on the... See there? See what I do there? I can actually DPS while I'm here. Okay, but it turned to fire. See that? As it becomes fire, then it can break. Solar Storm, I'll be safe on fire side right here. Oh, but it disintegrated first, and now they're all going to disintegrate. So you don't always have the safe option, but I'm so high level here. Okay, this is actually not as challenging as I thought. All right, there we go. All right, let's pick up the loot here. Let's just check what we got. Oh, wow. Interesting drop. See if we get any Mage Bloods. It's unusual for one of the pinnacle bosses to... Look at that. See, we got a unique belt. That's the first time we got a unique belt. That's something at least. All right, I guess that's the Black Star, and that's the final boss of the season. Now, before I end the episode, I just want to do one last thing. So this is kind of the chronological history of Elon's gear. This is one of the first axes. Some of the early body armor, early episodes, this is what Elon was wearing. You'll notice too that because I've evolved to the standard league, you see how it says remove only? It took it out of the league I was in, and if I pull an item off, the tab disappears. This is how stuff gets moved into standard league once you graduate. This was a good axe when it first came out. You'll notice too that this is a remove only tab. So once you pull things off, so you actually can trade items between your characters in solo self-found, but you're only trading amongst your own characters. So if you create 5 solo self-found characters in 5 different leagues, they will all merge into the standard league, but then you have limited space. You then get these tabs where they're remove only, so then you can consolidate your stuff. I'm probably just going to leave this tab alive as long as I can, just so, you know, people can see stuff. This was in the show, right? If you want to see the stats on an item in an earlier episode, there you go. I had some empty space there I could have used up. Remember these gloves that were killing me? These were really good gloves early on. I didn't necessarily use the items. Remember the show when I found the mirror of Calandra and created a mirrored object? In the museum forever. Another tab here of items. It was a long journey. I don't think I'll play Path of Exile again. You know, if someone wants me to come back and continue playing Elon a bit more, maybe. I won't go over every single item here. These are the gloves that killed me in that show. It's like, these gloves are hurting me. I can't wear them. It was a long journey. This is a season finale. It's long and drawn out. Bonus content here. This was a good belt. What episode was this from? An Eye for Loot, I think it was. Something like that. Where I was raving how great this was. This is like, if I found this belt now, I would throw this in the Recombinator. It's got some nice rolls, but I would not wear this belt anymore. Look at the belt I have now, right? Just all good stats. That energy shield's also nice, even if you're not an energy shield class. This is one of the last one-handers. For a while, I was using a sword and board. Remember that? I used this for quite a few levels, maybe 20 levels even. Then we got into the two-handers. This is the first good two-handed weapon. This fell naturally, just the way it is. I never altered this. I just put a sharpening stone. That's it. Remember the episode when we got our armor like this? The luck of that. I tried many more times, and I just trashed a bunch of good items. They just got destroyed, or the perfect weapon got destroyed. Here it is. Here's our perfect weapon. Remember? It wasn't that great, but it really got bad after putting it on the altar. I thought I'd give it some implicits. Remember I made this? That was that was an item of the week, I think, one of the weeks. Had a lot of life on it. We used this hat for more. This was probably one of the longest used items in the game until I crafted. I still could use this. It's still a great. The Broken Crown is if you're in a trade league, get one of these, absolutely. These are the chaos resistance is, you can't get that kind of chaos resistance. I have a better version of it now in my bags, but this here could still be re-rolled. Look at that fracture. This is actually still a good item, but I happen to get the 8% roll on it with 434 armor and a bunch of other insane things, so I don't need to. This is slightly better, but this is still, like, I could sell this probably for divines. Anyways, that's sort of the season in review. I won't go over every single little item here, but that's Path of Exile coverage. Very fun game. Played it too much. I'm going to play something different next season. Maybe do something, I don't know, maybe I'll do something not as game related. An interesting topic. I got some ideas. I got voices in my head giving me ideas. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this series. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about it. Even if you're not a PoE noob, maybe this entertained you and you found this interesting. And, you know, just watching a guy reach level 100 for the first time was why you watched it. I don't know. Hopefully there's enough viewers that this channel gets a little bit more popular. It's an insane amount of work. I don't know if I'll go this in depth again in a game ever. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the season, and I will see you next season.